Hi everyone, so today I'm going to show you how I mount Laelia. As you know, as you probably know if you watched some of my other YouTube clips, I grow mostly mounted Laelia. I find them easier to deal with, and that way I can grow a lot more in the space that I have. And I can grow them outside. But so I thought I'd show you mounting a couple of Laelia gouldiana, which I recently got delivered. So these are the plants, some nice new growths from these divisions, and it's just about the right time, possibly ever so slightly late, to mount these plants, but I reckon they'll do okay if I mount them now. So what do we need to get started? Well, first of all, plants, which I've shown you already, something to mount them on. My preferred mounting media is cork bark. Now cork comes generally either as flats like this or rounds, cork tubes. Cork tubes look very nice when you mount them up, but practically when you're growing against a wall, they're not ideal. They're difficult to deal with. I buy my cork at pet stores. Actually, it's generally cheaper than buying it from orchid suppliers, who for some reason seem to charge a premium. And I got quite a few bits actually on sale. So there's a well-known pet store which you can sometimes find these on sale. It's normally 2 for the price of 3 or something like that. And a lump this size, believe it or not, actually just cost me £10, which sounds like an awful lot for a piece of cork, but actually this is going to last for a good 5 or 6 years as a mount. So that's the cork. We have my Dremel, which I have already drilled a hole in the top of this piece of cork, through which I will pass this wire, so I can use that to hang on my grid that's on the wall. Obviously wire cutters, scissors, and something to hold the plant onto the mount. Now my preference is using a strong fishing line. The reason for that is that it is quite long lasting. You can tie it really quite tight, and for Laelias, for softer plants, I would probably shy away from this because it is quite tough. But Laelias can deal with a lot of roughing up. The joints in between each of the pseudobulbs is quite tough, so you can actually exert quite a bit of pressure with this on that part of the plant and not damage the plant at all. Okay, so that's what we'll need. I'll show you what I am aiming for. The sun's going in. So this is a mount I prepared earlier. So as you can see, I drilled a hole through the top. I decided which was the top and which was the bottom on this piece. It's quite important to get that right first off. And then I've just cut a piece of wire and threaded it through and sort of effectively tied it so that I can now hang this on my screen. Okay, so let's get started. I'm now taking the plants out of the pot. You can see that they did have nice healthy roots in the pot, and you can see that this one is actually starting to produce this year's roots. So although they're not in the most amazing condition. What I don't want to do is damage, I'll try and limit the damage that I do to these. It's not the end of the world if, you know, a couple of them are damaged, because I know that they will grow them back. Ideally, mounting should be done just before the roots start to develop. But as I say, Laelias are generally tough as old boots, so I have mounted when plants have been putting out all sorts of roots, and to be honest, they survive. They don't mind at all. I've now trimmed most of the roots off, and this will actually encourage the plant to produce new roots, which is what we want to help it get established on the mount as quickly as possible. So now it's a case of deciding whereabout on the mount these are going to go, and then tying them on. Okay, so what I've done is I've prepped a piece of cork with the hook in the top, which I've already explained, and I'm going to decide where to mount these plants. So, as you know, I have two pieces. They're the same plant, same species. I'm going to place one towards the bottom of the mount, and always bearing in mind that the mount will hang on the wall like this. What you don't want is any part of the plant where the water can collect, because when plants are cold and wet, they rot, the death of plants. So I'm going to put the plant on so that it sits kind of like this at an angle, so that nothing stays wet. And the second piece I'm going to mount just slightly further up. And as I've already explained, this will give several years of growth. Even in the top plant, it'll be 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 or 5 years before this needs to be remounted. Okay, so I've already tied my fishing line around once, and it's really tight. The goal of this exercise, or one of the most important parts of tying plants on, is that they have to be rock solid to the plant. Any movement, just like you're potting, the plant will never establish properly. So with that in mind, let's start tying the plants on. Okay, we're going to start with the top one. It makes more sense. So I'll just move this further down so it's easier to deal with. I'm going to wrap the plants around, wrap the line around. I'm trying to fit this piece here into a natural groove if I can, so that it's easier to tie in. Okay, so this is slightly off center, but it's good. And now I just take the fishing line around and over multiple times. So we'll go around. Remember to keep it as taut as possible. And then we're going to use the plant's growth, so the rhizome in between each of the pseudobulbs. So here I'm going to use the fishing line to hold the plant down. So I've got a couple of anchor points. I will wrap it around this part, and I'll wrap it around this part as well. I may even do a couple here, but they're not going to be as tight. So let's keep going around the plant. And once you've done it a couple of times and it's firm enough, the plant should hold itself in place. If the plant rocks around at all, it's not tight enough. You've got to undo it and do it again. So now I'm going around the other side. So basically around both sides of the pseudobulb here, and that gives it a really firm anchor. Pulling it tight each time I go round. And I'll just do one around this top bulb here, just to ensure that it's tight. Okay, right, so now I'll tie it off. And again, you always want to make sure you don't lose that tautness. I'll tie a couple of knots in this. One more. Okay, so that's nice and tight. Now you can see that the plant doesn't rock around at all. It's quite firm on the mount. The new growth is pointing up, is uppermost, because Laelias always grow up. Okay, so that's one. I'll do the next one. So as you can see, I've now mounted the second piece towards the bottom of the mount. One of the most important things is never to forget to put the label on your mount, so you always know where it is. And it's sometimes a good idea to put notes on the, if you've got any little quick notes or something, you can always put them on the label. Add another label, watering regime, when it was split, when it was mounted, whatever information you want. And I shall just pop that there. That's final space to hang. And there we go. Nice new addition to all of my other Laelias. So I hope that has been relatively straightforward to understand. Maybe I'll do a video once the plant starts putting out new roots, which I hope it will do within a few weeks. Okay, so thanks for watching. Until next time.